Akira Toriyama seemed to have the golden touch when it came to creating ideas for his manga. The epic transformations, the cataclysmic battles, the amazing yet simple character designs. But when I looked up the inspiration behind some of these ideas, I was dumbfounded, and made me wonder, was he secretly a genius? Today I'll be talking about the late Akira Toriyama, and the various parts of his life that led him to creating the legendary title Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama was born on April 5th, 1955, in Kiyosu, a town in Aichi Prefecture. Now, unlike many mangaka I've talked about on this channel, Toriyama never grew up wanting to draw manga for a living. When he initially started drawing, he did dabble in manga art with his friends, and Disney fan art too, but he began to take an interest in drawing things beyond manga, things from live action media, and other things grounded in reality. In fact, as school life went on, Toriyama stopped reading manga, and instead found interest in live action material, like tokusatsu shows including Ultraman and Godzilla, as well as martial arts films. Nearing the end of his middle school life, he decided to attend a high school that had a design course, with the intention of becoming a graphic designer. And after graduating high school, he entered the workforce. He joined a design firm as an illustrator, where he created designs for people who didn't have the money to take photos and had to settle for hand-drawn illustration to promote their business. He drew all kinds of things: hens and roosters, baby rompers, shoes. He didn't like the job, but it paid the bills. But he eventually reached his breaking point after 3 years. He often stayed overnight at his office to meet his deadlines, and only had time to sleep for a few hours. And because of this, he was often late to work by about 10 or 15 minutes. But per his working place's policy, 3 tardies equals an absence, which means no pay and a gradual decrease in your bonus pay. Suffice to say, Toriyama quit. At this point, I don't think Toriyama knew what he wanted to do in life. He lazed around all day, went to cafes, asked his mom for cigarette money. His parents didn't want him to be an illustrator. They wanted him to go to college. Maybe he should have listened. But one day while he was in a cafe, he found something that would change his life forever. He stumbled upon a copy of Weekly Shonen magazine that advertised a monthly New Artist Award with a prize money of 500,000 yen. Thing is, it was already past the deadline, but that's when Toriyama remembered that there were other shonen magazines out there. He went to see if Shonen Jump had the same kind of contest, and lo and behold, they did. The prize money was significantly lower, offering only 100,000 yen, but that didn't stop Toriyama. He was after all unemployed. So he sent his submission, a gag manga titled Awawa World, and lost. Nobody found it interesting. It contained what looks like a parody of Superman and samurais from feudal Japan. Toriyama tried again with a one-shot titled Mysterious Rain Jack, which was a parody of Star Wars, and he lost because it was not an original idea, and nobody cared about his art style either. But there was something about his submissions that caught the attention of one particular editor at Shonen Jump, and that man is Kazuhiko Torishima, who noticed how amazing Toriyama's lettering was, a skill Toriyama refined as a graphic designer. So he reached out to Toriyama and told him, moving forward, all of your submissions go directly to me. And just like that, Toriyama gained an editor. Now, I've already done a video about Kazuhiko Torishima, but just know that Torishima initially didn't like manga. He has a background in literature and believed manga was beneath novels. But at this point in time, Torishima studied the heck out of manga and knew more about the creation of manga than Toriyama, who just started drawing manga. If anyone was going to teach Toriyama, it was Torishima. Toriyama would spend the next couple of years of his life learning how to draw manga, creating ideas, submitting stories to Torishima, just for Torishima to reject them. Toriyama did get good enough to submit a few one-shots in Shonen Jump, but they didn't amount to anything. But Toriyama was definitely improving, and after some time, Toriyama finally got a serialization in Shonen Jump, a gag manga about a mad scientist and his perfect little girl robot. The series was titled Dr. Slump, and this serialization made a name for Toriyama. But before I get into that, let's talk about the artwork. The very first page features an anguished old man, drawn in semi-realism, juxtaposed by a cute and tiny mascot character with glasses. This page is very representative of Toriyama's art evolution at the time. He grew up drawing a lot of real-life stuff, but now he's made a full transition into the manga world. When you read the rest of the chapter, you'll notice that the adult's proportions are miniature-sized, so they don't really look that much bigger than Arare, or Arale if you're going by her localized spelling. And one of the charms of the manga was the very creative names. Arare was named after the bite-sized Japanese crackers, and Senbei Norimaki was named after a rice cracker and a type of sushi. Toriyama believed that kids would be able to remember names if they were punny enough. When the anime came out, Dr. Slump exploded in popularity, and like anything that's popular, popular, there were a lot of character merchandise, turning Toriyama into one of the richest people in Japan. He was happy with how big the series turned out, and how many people loved Arare. In fact, Toriyama made wearing glasses cool. He received letters from female fans who wear glasses, telling him that because Arare wears glasses, they felt more confident in themselves wearing glasses. Toriyama expected the series to only last so many chapters, but its popularity helped it become one of Jump's longest running titles at the time, and Toriyama wanted to end it. He was feeling the stress of writing a weekly series, having to come up with gag after gag to keep things interesting. Well, Shonen Jump only allowed Toriyama to end the series if he had another big title lined up. Now Toriyama and his editor, Torishima, struggled trying to find an idea for his next series, until one day, at Toriyama's house, Toriyama's wife, former mangaka Nachi Mikami, who sometimes helps Toriyama with his work, told Torishima that her husband often watched kung fu movies while working. This gave Torishima an idea. Why not make a manga about kung fu? The spark was lit, and so thanks to Toriyama's wife bringing up this fact, they decided to create a manga with themes of martial arts. Toriyama drew a one-shot titled Dragon Boy to test the waters with the martial arts theme, and it did well in the reader survey. And with this first step, Toriyama was now ready to end Dr. Slump. And on the road to his next serialization, Toriyama wrote some one-shots that tested even more ideas he wanted to do with his new serialization, which he planned on calling Dragon Ball. As Dr. Slump was approaching its final chapters, Toriyama and Torishima continued to refine Dragon Ball. The latter suggested they utilize things from the Journey to the West story, since it was now part of the public domain. The title character, Son Goku, would go through multiple redesigns before Toriyama settled on one, and although it took some time, the story was finalized and got approved by Shonen Jump. And Toriyama was nervous for its debut. In the final page of Dr. Slump, Toriyama wrote, "See you in Dragon Ball, if it ever comes out." Oh boy, if he only knew what was to come. But before we get into that, I want to share a little story about the very first picture of Son Goku that was ever released to the world. Toriyama used to go to this Japanese eatery with Western style foods in Nagoya. Toriyama loved the food there so much, he gifted the owner a drawing of Son Goku 4 months before Dragon Ball debuted in Shonen Jump. On November 20, 1984, Dragon Ball debuted, and it had a slow start. It was a road trip story, filled with fantasy and gag, with characters inspired from the Journey to the West story. In the first few story arcs, Dragon Ball often ranked at the bottom of the reader survey, but Torishima and Toriyama had a plan. Why not completely eliminate the Journey to the West aspects of the story and turn it completely into a battle manga? And from there, they focused on Goku's pursuit of strength, something that would help inspire readers. The series quickly picked up in rank, often topping the reader survey. It wasn't long before Dragon Ball became Jump's biggest title, which meant Toriyama was about to get even busier. But it's when he was at his busiest where he came up with the most amazing idea to give Goku golden hair when he finally transformed into a Super Saiyan. Because of how epic it was, you wouldn't think that this all stemmed from Toriyama just trying to streamline his work. Coloring in Goku's black hair took up a lot of time, so he created a design that would save him from doing just that. And you know how Goku's always wanting to fight somewhere empty? That's because drawing cities took up too much time. Toriyama also killed Vegeta during the Frieza arc because fans asked him not to. He was kinda cynical that way. I could keep going, but I think you get the picture. Dragon Ball spawned a series of anime and movies, video games, and so much more, and its popularity extended way past its height in Japan, thanks to the international broadcast of the anime all around the world. On March 1st, 2024, Akira Toriyama passed away of an acute subdural hematoma, devastating the entire world. All major news outlets all over the world reported his death, paying tribute to one of the most influential artists to ever live. His stories will always be remembered, and will continue to inspire future works, and I think it's very touching that, in the final anime he worked on, he made Goku a kid again, designed in his art style, reflective of his final years.
終わった時に漫画ありましたよね。その漫画の時に次に何やろうって考えて中国に行ってなんか探してきたらしいです。いろんなネタをね。で帰ってきてから次はこれだっていうことで書いてもらったんです。ドラゴンボールがまだ出てない状況でそのタイミングで書いていただきました。
ジャンプに乗る前に
乗る前に
次こんなんでやりたいんだっていうのをもらった。